Prepare to get gas because it's time for the Week in Gear. We are one episode away from the big 100. So naturally, the gear world has decided to go absolutely mental. This episode is a pedal special and with more gear than any other episode before it. So if you love these little boxes of stomp, you are going to enjoy the next 15 or so minutes. This week, Strymon forgets how to code and uses actual electricity. Fender and Tom Morello charges us a fortune for a guitar made of junk. And JHS teams up with Electro-Harmonix to release a pedal that technically shouldn't exist. This episode is sponsored by Radial Engineering. More about them in a bit. Let's kick off this week's most exciting gear releases with a prediction that actually came true. The Valeton GP 50 is exactly what we thought it would be, but the spec sheet is surprisingly deep for something this small. It's running the same high-definition modeling engine as the larger GP 200, but they've crammed it into a box that fits into your hand. You get a bright color LCD screen and 2 foot switches, which you can assign to scroll through patches or toggle effects. But the real news is the connectivity. This thing has full stereo outputs, a headphone jack, and crucially, MIDI in and MIDI through on TRS jacks, plus USB MIDI, meaning it can actually be the brain of your pedal board. This is a big one. It also features a built-in 1450 milliamp hour rechargeable battery. It's a big one. That gives you about a few hours of playing time, so you could take it to the park and annoy the ducks with your gent riffs. Or something useful, actually take it to a music shop and test out some sounds you know with new guitars, if they let you. It doubles as a USB-C audio interface. Wow. It loads third-party IRs, and it even supports NAM profiles, the neural amp model, loading that stuff via their Snaptone tech. The best part? It's landing at around 120 notes. And for that price, with a battery and MIDI and all those sounds that I already know that I like, it's basically, dare I say it, the ultimate save the gig backup rig. If something happens to your number one rig, your amp or your pedals or whatever, you can throw this down on the floor, plug the guitar into it, give a signal to the mixing desk, and you're ready to go, assuming you've set it up beforehand. Although it's more than that, because I've used the GP5 for all my sounds at Guitar Summit this year, and I was extremely pleased, and the results were great. So there's no reason that this GP50 couldn't be your main rig. The gasometer hits buy it now. It's cheap, it's cheerful, and it proves that I can predict the future. From something cheap and cheerful to something, well, expensive and political. Fender has finally released the Tom Morello Arm the Homeless Stratocaster. And yes, the irony of selling a mass-produced replica of a guitar famously built from garbage for a premium price is not lost on me, my friends. But if you look past the irony and the politics, the specs are actually pretty wild. You've got that iconic blue ice metallic finish with the hippo graphics, but crucially it features a very rare hockey stick headstock on a maple neck with a flat C, oh goodness, a flat C profile. Under the hood, it's loaded with an EMG 85 humbucker in the bridge and an EMG H single coil in the neck for all your Rage Against the Machine riffage. You also get a recessed Goto GE 1996T double locking tremolo, that's a mouthful, so you can abuse the whammy bar, and of course the kill switch toggle for those DJ style stutter effects that I love. The price? It's hitting the shelves at around 1,700 to 2,000 notes. Whew. For a guitar that says Arm the Homeless on it, that price tag feels a little uncomfortable, to say the least. However, props to Fender for not putting the Fender logo on the headstock. One could say that this is truly an authentic signature model. Actually, thinking about it, this isn't really a Fender guitar, so it's kind of like a custom shop parts caster made by Fender without having Fender written on the front of it. Does that make it cheap? The gasometer is stuck. Borrow it. I would love to play it. I think I'd hate the neck, but I also think I'd rather just build my own out of junk, just to stay true to the spirit. Speaking of memes becoming reality, do you remember when Josh Scott of JHS made a joke about the Digitech Badder Monkey and the internet melted down? Well, turns out that DOD was watching. Introducing the DOD Badder Monkey. Is it DOD or DOD? Introducing the DOD Badder Monkey as well. And they didn't just reissue the old green doorstop, they actually upgraded it, and it is arguably, possibly, the first pedal to be born purely out of internet chaos. It keeps that classic Tube Screamer style circuit with the active low and high EQ controls that made the original actually useful or more useful, but now they've added a new toggle switch that reportedly blends in parallel circuits for more grit and less mid-hump politeness. The gain control is called Bananas. The level control is called Curiosity. The concentric knobs that cover the low EQ and the mid-high frequencies, which are named Grunt and Screech. That's all part of the mood part of the circuit. This is very reminiscent of the good old days of DOD, and as a collector of old DOD pedals, I am all for this Badder Monkey. It's got a new look, it's got a stupid name, and I absolutely love it. The best part is it's landing at around 150 notes, which is significantly cheaper than the $600 people were asking for the original on Reverb some time ago. The gasometer is an add to cart. Yes. Just for the joke, and also it doesn't get higher because it's another Tube Screamer. Maybe if I played it, that would be a buy it now. I don't know. But it does help that some friends of mine on the internet that also have YouTube channels have played it, and they said it was pretty fantastic. Or they seem to be having a good time. I haven't spoken to all of them. Hey, if you're watching. Let's stop talking about pedals that are green and made with animal parts. Let's talk about this week's sponsor, Radial Engineering. This week's sponsor is Radial Engineering, and they make gear that makes your gear sound more like your gear. If you're running your beloved guitars and pedals through amps and you're running long cables through stages, or if you're recording or playing gigs where you have to send signals to a mixing desk, how do you keep that signal pristine? Well, you could try something from Radial Engineering like this Big Shot ABY. This is going to help me in the studio switch from one amp to another seamlessly and keep the signal sounding the same. So let's say I want to switch from my Rev D25 over to my Marshall JTM Studio. All I have to do is use this rather than take the cable from one and put it over to the other. And if you have more than one amp and you want to keep your hands on your guitar, this is the way forward. I am really looking forward to using this in future videos. It's going to make my life a lot easier. So a big thank you to Radial for sponsoring this episode of The Week in Gear. You can find out more information at this link just here that Victor's going to put on screen, but I'll also put a link for you in the video description. Now, back to the show. Back to the madness. Behringer has decided that maybe one lawsuit this year just isn't enough. So they cloned one of the most expensive and complicated funk pedals ever made. And when I say cloned, this is really close, design-wise. This is the Behringer Meatball, based on the legendary Love Tone Meatball from the 90s. This is an envelope filter, or envelope filter, that requires maybe a pilot's license to operate. And when I say it's based on that, it's Behringer, which means it's going to be very, very, very close to the original circuit, but on a budget. You've got all the controls of the original: attack, decay, and sensitivity, and color, and intensity, and blend. There's also selectable low pass and band pass and high pass filters, the full works plus all the rest of it. And just like the original, it features an effects loop, so you can put a fuzz inside the filter sweep, or anything else if you want. But of course you choose fuzz, right? Because that's where the real magic happens. The original Love Tone units sell for over 800 notes these days. I've just seen one on Reverb up for sale for over 1,000. And this one, 100 notes. As it's a Behringer pedal, there are some ethical issues with it, of course. The biggest one for me being that the graphic designer seems to have taken a day off and just submitted a cheaper looking version of the original artwork. So, on the one hand, ouch. On the other hand, 100 notes and the original is no longer available? Ugh. If you want to play Sir Duke and you want to make it sound like a spaceship landing, then this is possibly a good idea. The gasometer is a buy it now. It's kind of ugly and pretty. It's complicated, it's cheap, and it's going to be so much fun. Now for a plot twist I didn't see coming. Strymon, the company made of algorithms and zeros and ones, they have just released an analog drive pedal. Yes, actual components, no DSP. This is the Strymon Fairfax. It's a Class A analog drive pedal designed to recreate the sound of a vintage console, or more specifically, the Garnet Herzog tube unit used for the American Woman tone. One of my favorites. Oh. The circuit internally boosts your 9 volts up to a whopping 40 volts, giving you massive headroom and amp-like dynamics. The controls are simple: drive, level, and a bright switch, but the secret weapon has got to be that sag knob. At low settings, it's tight and punchy, and then crank it up and it mimics a dying power tube rectifier. Oh. So you're gonna get all spongy and gated and spluttering just like a fuzz. Oh, be still my aching and somewhat unreliable heart. This one is landing at around 200 notes, and my gas is off the charts. I love the American Woman sound, which is why if I were to plug into one of these in a music shop, I would walk away with it for sure. But luckily there are no music shops near me, and yes, I have other pedals and amps that I can get that American Woman tone with, but that's the thing with pedals. They are the ultimate impulse buy for guitar players. And 200 notes is not way over the top. Self-control, Andrew. Self-control. As for you, fill your boots. Link in the video description. And if you buy enough of them, I'll use the affiliate money to buy one myself. Thank you. It is weird to see Strymon doing this, but if anyone can engineer a great analog circuit, it's probably the people who spent years taking them apart and modeling them so well. The gasometer is wallet on fire. I need to know what a 40 volt Strymon feels like, but I'll wait for NAMM. If one drive pedal isn't enough, how about 2? The Crazy Tube Circuit's Orama is here to bring the stoner rock. Orama means vision in Greek, and the vision here is clearly a wall of orange amps. Side A is a JFET-based recreation of the legendary orange OR120 amp, running at a high internal voltage for that classic British sag and growl and hairiness. You even get a fat knob to dial in the low-mid girth. It's fat, also filtered if you want it to be. Side B is a recreation of the Frantone Peach Fuzz, a massive 90s fuzz that sounds like a woolly mammoth falling down a marshmallow staircase. Yeah, You can run them independently, or you can stack them for absolute chaos. Plus, it's got a passive effects loop built in, so you can insert other pedals between the two sides. Clever. I reviewed this week, and you can see that video by clicking up there, and I highly recommend you do. It's really, really fun. This is one of my most favorite pedals of the year. It's instant smiles on this silly face of mine, and I love, love, love it. The Orama is handmade in Greece by Crazy Tube Circuits, and it's coming in at around 289 notes. If you play desert rock or doom, or you just hate silence, then this is the box for you. The gasometer, I was gonna go for buy it now, but thinking about it and thinking about how happy it makes me, my wallet's on fire again. Oh, I love you.
Pick of the week.
This is it, my pick of the week, and it's a piece of history that was technically lost for about 50 years. The JHS and EHX Big Muff 2. Yes, the Big Muff 2, the return. Now, if you don't know your Big Muff history, or if you do, you know about the triangle and the ram's head and the op amp, but you've probably never heard of the Big Muff 2. That's because it was never released. I know I hadn't heard of it. And Josh Scott was researching the history of Electro-Harmonix, because he's writing it, or has written a book, which is also available. And Josh Scott found a schematic in a notebook belonging to Bob Meyer, the original inventor of the Big Muff. You can see where this is going. It was a design from 1979 intended to use op amps, but it is completely different from the op amp muff that we all know and love. Well, I love it. I'm gonna move you, because I'm not talking about you at the moment. Sorry, I'll be back in a minute with some low-tuned guitars. Yeah, so it's a lost timeline, a what-if moment in pedal history. So JHS and Electro-Harmonix teamed up to finally build it. It features the classic volume, sustain, and tone layout, but the voicing is apparently unique. It has more mids, a cleaner bottom end, and a different clipping texture than any other muff. The Big Muff Pi was my first ever pedal love. I think it was like my second or third pedal that I ever bought. It was many, many, many years ago, but I always missed out on those mids and had to use a wah pedal to get them back, which I actually enjoyed, but I didn't know what I was doing. I just couldn't hear my own guitar in the mix. The thing is that this could be the fuzz pedal that I've been waiting for all my guitar life. So the bigger news is there's a limited edition big box version, which is what we've been showing you so far, and that's coming in at around 220 notes. No, that is not a cheap pedal, but it didn't stop me from buying one. And a word of warning, be careful with the money things we put on screen, because they don't always translate with the currency conversion, so yes, use the links in the video description, but that's what I paid, plus shipping, plus whatever it's going to cost me to get it into the country. Anyway, I watched the JHS video, I watched Ryan at 60 Cycle hum, and then, of course, I bought one. And I can't wait for it to arrive. Even though by the time you watch this, I hope the big box version is still available. They made 5,700, but today, on the day of release of TWIG, I'm told by little bird, Ryan Burke, that the nano version will be released, and that'll be priced and sized a little bit more friendlily. And I think it's going to be closer to 150 notes, maybe even cheaper. I don't know, but that one, I haven't got a shot up here because I don't know what it looks like yet. That one makes a lot more sense for everybody. But if my favorite nostalgic fuzz gets a sequel, and then they release it in my favorite colors, I didn't really have a choice in the matter. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to also buy a nano version. I love this stuff. It's archaeology for guitar geeks. This is not just another fuzz, it's kind of like the missing link. Either that, or Josh Scott has pulled the wool over our eyes yet again. Actually, if you watch the JHS release video, look on the table in front of Josh. There is the nano version sat right there from plain sight. Right there, several times, out of focus. Now, let's have a look at the gasometer. Wallet on fire again! Feel the burn, and smile. Although, I recommend the nano version unless you're a fuzz fool like me. And that is it for this week and almost for this year. Next week, I'm going to be doing the year in gear and giving my roundup of my favorite releases of the week. I might also include a few new releases if there's some really interesting stuff out. And then we'll have a little break for the holidays. I'll be back in the new year. Very exciting. Okay, before we do that, a huge thank you to everyone here that supports the show on Patreon. Your names are covering my face right now. Yet more blurry Andy's face as we appreciate the people who support the show right here on YouTube. Thanks to you also. And here's a special thanks to the top tier members. Alinta, Antonio Cruz Barreto, Buddha Blue, Boom Shakalaka, Buzzle, Dirk, Darius Lives, Doug Paget, Yindrik Strelka, Johnny McBadminton, Colter Matt, Mike Lute, Andrew Morgan, Gary O'Neill, holy moly, that's 8675309, Josh Tamberg, Man Dude Bro, PQ Deads, Robin Kelly, Sarang Narayan, and Southern Panda 33. Thank you, top tier members! Drop a comment and let me know, is the Homeless Strat cool or crazy? Are there too many pedal releases this week? And am I nuts for buying the Big Muff too? Subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next week for episode 100. Bye-bye!